Captain Daeho Kim stood on the gray, dusty surface of Moon K-12. He looked at the huge field of space junk that stretched as far as he could see. The moon was far from Earth, in a forgotten corner of space. No one came here anymore. No one except humans looking for valuable trash. Daeho wiped sweat from his face. His spacesuit was hot, even with the cooling system running. The sun beat down on this airless rock without any atmosphere to block its rays. "This is the biggest junk pile I've ever seen," he said into his helmet mic. His crew of 20 had spread out across the junkyard. They were looking for anything useful. Old engine parts, weapon pieces, communication devices, anything that still worked or could be fixed. Earth needed help. The aliens called Marin were attacking human colonies. They were big, strong, and had better ships. The Galactic Council, which made rules for all space travelers, did nothing to stop them. Humans had to protect themselves. Captain Kim, come here now." The voice of Subin Park, his chief engineer, burst through Daeho's helmet speakers. She sounded excited. "What is it?" Daeho asked, already moving toward her location marker on his helmet display. "Just come, hurry!" Daeho walked as fast as he could. His heavy boots sank into the gray dust with each step. The moon's low gravity made him feel light, but also made it hard to walk normally. He found Subin standing near a large hill of junk. When he reached her, she pointed at something half buried in the dust. "Look," she said. At first, Daeho didn't understand what he was seeing. Then his eyes followed the shape. It was big, very big. Part of it stuck out from the dust like the back of a giant sea creature. "Is that a ship?" he asked. Subin nodded. "Not just any ship. It's a Vaxari warship." Daeho's heart beat faster. The Vaxari were an old alien race that had disappeared 1,000 years ago. Their ships had been the most powerful in the galaxy. All of them were supposed to have been destroyed in the Great War. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Yes. See these marking patterns?" Subin pointed to faded symbols on the exposed metal. "Only Vaxari ships had these. And look at the size. Must be a dreadnought class." Daeho walked closer. He touched the old metal with his gloved hand. It was cold and rough with age, but still strong. Jiwon Nam, the security chief, joined them. "Holy stars," he said when he saw the ship. "I thought these were all gone." "Apparently not," Daeho said. He walked along the edge of the buried ship. More of it became visible as his eyes adjusted to see the shape under the dust. It was huge, at least 500 meters long, maybe more still buried, but it was damaged, badly damaged. "It's just a shell," Subin said, scanning it with her equipment. "No engines, no weapons left, many holes in the hull, but the main structure is intact." Daeho nodded slowly. An idea was forming in his mind. A crazy, impossible idea. "How much of it could we salvage?" he asked. Subin looked at him with surprise. "Salvage? You mean take parts from it?" "No," Daeho said. "I mean, could we fix it, make it work again?" Jiwon laughed, then realized Daeho was serious. "Captain, this thing is ancient. It's been dead for 1,000 years. And even if it wasn't, we don't know how Vaxari technology works. No one does." "But we could learn," Daeho said. "Humans are good at figuring things out, at making old things work again." Subin was quiet, thinking. She walked around the ship, scanning different parts. "The main structure is strong," she finally said. "The Vaxari built things to last. We could maybe repair the hull, but we would need to build new engines, new systems, everything inside. It would be like building a new ship with an old shell." "How long would it take?" Daeho asked. "Months. Maybe a year. And that's with a full construction team," Subin said. "And lots of materials." Daeho nodded. He walked a few steps away and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Marin were attacking another human colony. Earth's small fleet couldn't stop them. The Galactic Council wouldn't help. "What are you thinking, Captain?" Jiwon asked. Daeho turned back to look at the buried ship. "I'm thinking that the Marin wouldn't expect humans to show up in a Vaxari warship. No one would." Subin and Jiwon exchanged looks. "It's crazy," Jiwon said. "Yes," Daeho agreed. But sometimes crazy is all we have. He activated his comm unit. All crew members, come to my location immediately and get me a direct line to Earth Command. Priority 1. What should I tell them? Asked the communications officer. Daeho looked again at the ancient war machine buried in the dust. It had once been the most feared ship design in the galaxy. Tell them we found something that could change everything. It looks like junk, but humans are very good at turning junk into treasure. As the rest of the crew arrived, they stood in silence staring at the massive discovery. Some laughed in disbelief, others whispered in excitement. Daeho gathered them together. I know what you're thinking. It's too big, too damaged, too old. But remember, every great human achievement started with someone saying, that's impossible. Space travel, light speed, landing on Mars, they were all impossible once. He pointed at the ship. This is our impossible thing. The rest of the galaxy throws away what they don't understand or can't fix. But that's not what humans do. We rebuild. We repurpose. We make things work. Subin was already making notes on her tablet. We'll need to scan the entire structure, map all systems, study the materials. Jiwon nodded. And we'll need protection. If anyone finds out what we're doing here, Earth Command will handle that, Daeho said. Our job is to make this pile of ancient junk into the most powerful ship humans have ever controlled. He looked at each crew member's face. It won't be easy, but nothing important ever is. As the sun set on the dusty moon, casting long shadows across the junkyard, the human crew began their impossible task. The rest of the galaxy had forgotten this place, this ship. They had thrown it away like trash. But humans had always been good at seeing value where others saw only junk. 3 months passed. The lonely moon was no longer quiet. Now hundreds of humans worked there day and night. Big lights lit up the work area. Ships came and went, bringing supplies and more workers. The old Vaxari ship was now the center of a busy construction site. Earth leaders had named the project Phoenix, after the bird from old stories that came back to life from ashes. Hyejin Kang was in charge of the whole project. She was the best engineer Earth had. People said she could fix anything. Now she had the biggest fixing job of her life. Progress report, Captain Daeho Kim said as he walked into the main control room. He had been away for 2 weeks meeting with Earth leaders. Hyejin looked up from her work screen. The ship's outer shell is 83% fixed. That's better than we hoped. She showed him pictures of their work. The ship was slowly taking shape. Workers had cleared away the moon dust. They had patched the big holes in the hull. New metal plates covered the worst damage. What about inside the ship? Daeho asked. We've installed human-made engines, Hyejin said. They work with the old ship's systems. We've fixed the life support too, air, water, heat, and we've put in our own shield technology. Daeho nodded, pleased. So we can fly it and not die. That's a good start. Jiwon Nam entered the room. The security chief looked tired and worried. Bad news from the outer colonies, Jiwon said. The Marin attacked again. 3 more of our ships are gone, probably destroyed. What about the Galactic Council? Daeho asked. Are they going to help us? Jiwon shook his head. They say they need more proof that the Marin are breaking the rules. More proof. As if missing ships and dead people aren't enough. By the time they decide to help, there may be no humans left to save, Daeho said. He turned to Hyejin. How much longer until this ship can fight? Hyejin frowned. That's our biggest problem. We can make it move, we can make it protect itself with shields, but making it fight is harder. Show me, Daeho said. Hyejin led Daeho and Jiwon deep into the ship. They went down long hallways and through big rooms. Finally, they came to a strange chamber. The walls were covered with crystal-like objects. They looked like giant gems, embedded in the metal. About 20 workers were scanning the crystals with different tools. What are these? Daeho asked, touching one of the crystals. It felt cold. Weapons, Hyejin said, but not like any weapons we've seen before. These aren't just guns or lasers, they're smart weapons. They think, they learn. You mean they're computers? Jiwan asked. More than computers, Hyojin said. We think the Vaxari built weapons that could understand what was happening in a battle. The weapons could make decisions. Can we make them work? Daeho asked. Hyojin shook her head. Not yet. It's like they're asleep. We send power to them, but they don't respond. We've tried our control systems, but nothing works. We're running out of time, Daeho said. The Marin attacks are getting worse. A young man walked up to them. He was shorter than the others, with round glasses. His name was Minho Lee. He was one of the youngest engineers on the project, but also one of the smartest. Director Kang, Minho said quietly. May I share an idea? Of course, Hyojin said. At this point, we need all the ideas we can get. Minho held up his tablet. On the screen were brain scan images next to pictures of the crystal weapons. I've been studying the old Vaxari writing we found, Minho said. I think these weapons weren't meant to be controlled by buttons or computers. Then how did they work? Daeho asked. Minho pointed to his head. With their minds. I think the Vaxari connected their brains directly to their ships. The ship was like part of their body. Everyone was quiet for a moment. You think they used their thoughts to control the weapons? Jiwan finally asked. Yes, Minho said. And I think we could do the same thing. That sounds dangerous, Daeho said. It is, Minho admitted. But I've made some progress. The Vaxari brains were different from human brains, but not completely different. All thinking beings have some similar brain patterns. I think we could make a helmet or headset that would let a human brain talk to the ship. You want to connect human brains to alien technology that's 1,000 years old? Jiwan asked. That's crazy. Minho nodded. Yes, it is crazy. But it might work. And we've tried everything else. Hyojin looked thoughtful. The Vaxari ships were the best ever made. No one has been able to copy their technology. Maybe this is why. No one realized the ships were meant to connect with minds. Daeho walked slowly around the room, looking at the crystal weapons. He thought about the Marin attacks. He thought about Earth's small fleet of ships. No match for the Marin. He thought about how many people would die if they did nothing. How long would it take to build this brain connector? He asked Minho. 2 weeks for a test version, Minho said. Maybe a month for something better. And you think it will work? Minho hesitated. I think it might work. It's the only idea I have left. Daeho nodded slowly. Okay. Make your brain connector. Test it on the ship's simple systems first. Lights, doors, that kind of thing. If that works, then we try the engines. And only then do we try the weapons. Who will test it? Hyojin asked. It could be dangerous. We don't know what connecting to alien technology might do to a human brain. Daeho thought for a moment. Ask for volunteers, but make sure they know all the risks. As they walked back to the control room, Jiwan spoke quietly to Daeho. Do you really think this will work? Connecting human brains to alien weapons? I don't know, Daeho admitted. But I do know humans are good at making things work in new ways. The Vaxari were smart, but so are we. And we have something they didn't have. What's that? Daeho looked around at all the people working together, fixing, building, solving problems. We're stubborn, he said with a small smile. When humans want something badly enough, we find a way, even if it seems impossible. Over. The next few weeks, Minho and his team worked day and night on the brain connector. They called it the neural link. It looked like a helmet with many thin wires coming out of it. They tested it first on simple things, as Daeho had ordered. Minho put on the helmet and tried to turn lights on and off with his thoughts. At first, nothing happened. Then, after many adjustments, a light flickered. It's working, someone shouted. Minho smiled but kept concentrating. The light got brighter, then dimmed, following his thoughts. Each day they made the neural link better. Soon Minho could open and close doors just by thinking about it. Then he could make the ship's internal communication system work. After 3 weeks, Hyojin called Daeho to the engine room. "We're ready for the next test," she said. Minho sat in a chair with the neural link helmet on his head. The helmet was connected by cables to the ship's engine control system. "Are you sure about this?" Daeho asked him. Minho nodded. "I designed it. I should be the one to test it." "All he's going to do is try to start the engines and then stop them," Heejin explained. "Nothing dangerous." Daeho gave the go-ahead. Minho closed his eyes. His face showed he was concentrating hard. For a minute, nothing happened. Then they heard a low humming sound. The ship's engines were starting to power up. The humming got louder. "It's working," Heejin whispered. Minho opened his eyes. "I can feel the engines," he said, sounding surprised. "It's like they're part of me." "Can you shut them down?" Daeho asked. Minho nodded and closed his eyes again. The humming sound slowly faded away until the engines were quiet. "That was amazing," Minho said as they took the helmet off him. "I didn't just tell the engines what to do. I could feel them working. I knew exactly how much power they had, how hot they were, everything." Daeho looked at Heejin. "I think we're ready to try the weapons." 1 week later, they gathered in the crystal weapon room. Minho sat in a special chair they had built. The neural link helmet on his head was now connected to one of the smaller crystal weapons. "Remember, just try to wake it up," Heejin told Minho. "Don't try to fire it or anything. Just see if you can connect with it." Minho nodded. Everyone moved back, giving him space. He closed his eyes. For a long time, nothing happened. Minho's face showed strain. Sweat appeared on his forehead. Then, slowly, the crystal nearest to him began to glow. A soft blue light came from deep inside it. The glow got brighter. Then the crystal next to it began to glow too. Then another, and another. Around the room, the crystal weapons were waking up. 1 week after the crystal weapons started to glow, the team was ready for a full test. They had built a special room with 8 chairs in a circle. Each chair had a neural link helmet hanging above it. Minho was in the main chair. He had practiced, connecting with the ship every day, and was now the best at it. 7 other brave volunteers sat in the other chairs. They had all trained with the neural link on small parts of the ship. "Everyone ready?" Heejin asked. She stood by a control panel watching screens that showed the brain activity of all 8 people. "Ready," Minho said. The others nodded. "Remember," Daeho said, "if anything feels wrong, say the word disconnect, and we'll shut it down right away." Heejin pressed a button, and the 8 neural link helmets lowered onto the volunteers' heads. Minho closed his eyes. The room was very quiet. On the screens, lines and numbers started to change. Heejin watched closely. "Neural connection starting," she said. "Minho is at 42% connection." Daeho looked at Minho. The young engineer's face was calm, but his closed eyes moved rapidly behind his eyelids, as if he was dreaming. "Connection at 68%, Heejin reported. Suddenly Minho gasped. His back arched. Everyone tensed, ready to stop the test. "Minho!" Heejin called out, worried. "Are you okay? Should we disconnect?" For a few seconds, Minho didn't answer. Then his eyes opened. Everyone in the room stepped back in surprise. Minho's eyes glowed with the same blue light as the crystal weapons. "I can hear you," Minho said. His voice sounded calm and strange. "And I can hear it too. The ship, it's not just a machine, it's alive, in a way." "Connection at 89%, said an assistant, his voice full of wonder. "What do you mean alive?" Daeho asked, stepping closer to Minho. Minho turned his head slowly. "Not alive like us. But it learns. It remembers. It's been waiting for a long time, for someone to wake it up." His face showed amazement. "I can see how everything works now. The weapons, the engines, the life support, they're all connected. One system." Over the next week, all 8 volunteers practiced connecting with the ship. Each time they got better at it, they learned to control different parts of the ship with their minds. The old Vaxari ship, once dead and broken, was coming back to life through human minds. Things that the best engineers couldn't understand before, suddenly made sense when someone connected their brain to the ship. "It's amazing," said Junseo Park, one of the neural pilots, as they talked after a test. "When we're connected, the ship feels like part of our body. I can feel space around us. I know exactly where we are and how fast we're going." "What about the weapons?" Ji-Wan asked. "Can you make them work?" Junseo nodded. "Yes. They're better than we expected. They're smart weapons. They can learn and predict how an enemy will move. When all 8 of us are connected at once, we can do calculations faster than any ship in the galaxy." Hee-Jin looked worried. "We need to be careful. The connection goes both ways. The ship affects your mind as much as you control the ship. That's what makes it work so well," Junseo said. The Vaxari knew something important. Technology shouldn't just be a tool. It should be a partner. As the team kept working, bad news arrived. The Marin aliens had started a big attack against human colonies. Earth's small fleet of ships couldn't stop them. "Is the ship ready?" Daeho asked Hee-Jin as they stood on the bridge of the rebuilt vessel. She thought for a moment, then nodded. "Ready enough. The neural pilots can control all the important systems. We've fixed the hull with our own metals and added our shield technology. It's not pretty, but it works." Daeho looked around at what they had built. It was part ancient, alien technology, part human invention, held together by hard work and need. The ship didn't look like other ships. The smooth Vaxari design was now covered with human-made patches and additions. Power cables ran along walls. Human-made screens sat next to alien crystal controls. It looked like what it was, a mix of 2 very different technologies from 2 very different times. To most aliens, it would look ugly and strange. But to Daeho, it was beautiful. It showed what humans did best, taking what others threw away and making it work in new ways. "Then it's time," he said, "to show the galaxy what humans can do with a pile of junk." Hee-Jin called the neural pilots to their stations. 8 chairs waited on the bridge, each with a neural link helmet. Minho looked at the helmet for a long moment before sitting down. "Are you afraid?" Daeho asked him quietly. "Yes," Minho admitted, "but also excited. We're about to fly a ship that no one has flown for 1,000 years. Not fly it," Daeho corrected with a small smile. "Become it." The 8 pilots took their places. Engineers and technicians checked systems one last time. The rest of the crew strapped into safety seats. "All systems ready," Hee-Jin reported. "Neural link standing by." Daeho took his captain's chair. "Begin neural connection." The helmets lowered. The 8 pilots closed their eyes, and deep in the heart of the ship, the ancient Vaxari systems fully awakened for the first time in a millennium, joining with human minds in a partnership unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. The Phoenix was ready to rise. The human colonies on New Terra had been under siege for 3 days when the emergency transmission reached the Marin command vessel. "Unidentified ship approaching at high velocity," reported a Marin sensor officer, antenna twitching with agitation. "Configuration unknown." Fleet Commander Zaris rose from his command chair, mandibles clicking in irritation. Visual, the main display activated, showing a vessel unlike any in the known galaxy. Its massive hull bore the distinctive geometric patterns of ancient Vaxari design, but patches of newer material were evident throughout. What should have been elegant lines were interrupted by human-designed weapon mounts and communications arrays. It was by any aesthetic standard ugly, a cobbled-together monstrosity. "A Vaxari ship?" Zaris questioned incredulously. "Impossible. They have been extinct for millennia." "It appears to be a reconstruction," his second-in-command offered, "and it's bearing human identification signals." Zaris made a dismissive gesture. "The humans are desperate, resorting to archaeological salvage. One derelict against our fleet? Open communications. I wish to see their faces before we destroy them." The communication screen flickered to life, showing Captain Daeho Kim on the bridge of the hybrid vessel, which the humans had named Phoenix. "This is Captain Kim of the United Earth Forces. Your unprovoked attacks on human settlements violate Galactic Council treaties. Withdraw immediately, or face the consequences." Zaris chittered in what passed for laughter among the Marin. "You, Face the consequences of your species' arrogance, human. Your council friends have abandoned you, and you bring one patchwork ship against my fleet? I will add your salvage to our own after we finish with your colonies. Daho's expression remained impassive. This is your only warning. The communication ended. Prepare to fire, Xeris ordered, returning to his seat. Target their propulsion first. I want that ship intact for study. On the Phoenix, the 8 neural pilots lay in their interface chambers, their minds linked with both the ship and each other. Minho, as primary navigator, felt the Marin vessels as bright points of aggressive intent in his expanded awareness. Junseo, weapons coordinator, was already calculating firing solutions with the intuitive speed that only the neural interface allowed. All pilots synchronized, Hyojin reported from her station. Power distribution optimal. Begin evasive pattern, Daho ordered. Weapons free. What happened next would be recorded in the archives of every spacefaring species. The Phoenix moved with impossible grace for its size, evading the first volley of Marin fire completely. Then it responded. The Vaxari weapons, reborn through human neural guidance, unleashed devastation unlike anything the modern galaxy had witnessed. Crystalline projectiles phased through conventional shields. Precision energy beams targeted vulnerable points that only the combined intuition of human minds and Vaxari technology could identify. 3 Marin cruisers were disabled in the opening exchange. The Phoenix absorbed hits that would have destroyed any contemporary vessel, its hybrid shields dispersing the energy. In the neural interface chambers, the pilots felt every impact, every successful strike, not as abstract data, but as sensory experience. The ship had truly become an extension of themselves. They're regrouping, Junseo reported through the interface. Attempting to surround us. Let them try, Daho said. The battle lasted less than an hour. The Marin fleet, accustomed to easy victories against less advanced opponents, found themselves outmatched by the synthesis of ancient technology and human adaptability. 7 of their vessels were destroyed or disabled, the remainder retreating, in disarray. Fleet Commander Xeris, watching his carefully planned campaign collapse around him, abandoned his command vessel in an escape pod moments before it was rendered inoperable by the Phoenix's weapons. As the Phoenix moved to protect the human colonies, word of the encounter spread rapidly through subspace communications. The mysterious vessel that had appeared from nowhere to defeat a Marin battle fleet became the subject of urgent discussion in the Galactic Council chambers. On the bridge of the Phoenix, Daho received a transmission from Earth Command. The Marin are in full retreat across all sectors, the Admiral reported, barely concealing her amazement. And we're receiving communication requests from half the Council species. What exactly did you build out there, Captain? Daho looked around at his crew, at the hybrid vessel they had created from what others had discarded. Something uniquely human, Admiral. We took what everyone else saw as junk, and we made it ours. The great hall of the Galactic Council fell silent as Captain Daho Kim and Director Hyojin Kang entered, followed by Minho Lee. The curved walls, designed to accommodate representatives of hundreds of species, now focused entirely on the 3 humans. Elder Therix of the Vespid Collective, who held the position of council speaker, leaned forward on his support harness. We have called this extraordinary session to address the matter of the vessel designated Phoenix, Therix began, his translator converting the buzzing speech to standard galactic. Its appearance has unsettled the established order. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Marin representatives were notably absent. The humans have violated the technology containment protocols, charged Ambassador Nilith of the Solari Dominion. They have resurrected Vaxari war technology, expressly forbidden after the uprising. Technology that was abandoned as useless. Scrap, Daho countered. Left on an unmonitored moon with no restrictions on salvage operations. A convenient oversight, Nilith responded acidly. Elder Therix raised a limb for silence. More concerning is how you made it operational. Our finest engineers have studied Vaxari remnants for centuries without success. Yet in months your species not only restored a dreadnought, but improved upon its original design. Hyojin stepped forward. The key was not treating it as just technology. The Vaxari built their systems to partner with intelligent minds, not to be operated mechanically. This is why previous attempts failed. You were trying to use their technology without understanding their philosophy. Minho nodded. The neural interface was the breakthrough. The ship wasn't meant to be controlled, it was meant to be guided through shared purpose. The council chamber erupted in overlapping questions and objections. Elder Therix eventually restored order. The Vaxari were deemed too dangerous precisely because of this integration of mind and machine, he stated gravely. Their technology granted them abilities that threatened all other species. With respect, Deho said, the Vaxari were not destroyed because their technology was inherently dangerous. Historical records show they were targeted because they refused to weaponize their achievements for other species during the Fourth Galactic Conflict. This statement caused another wave of murmurs. It was an interpretation of history rarely voiced in council chambers. The fact remains, continued a Draxian representative, that humans now possess the most powerful warship in known space. The balance of power is disrupted. Balance? Hyejin questioned sharply. What balance? The Marin have violated our territories repeatedly while this council deliberated. We acted only when forced to protect our people. Minho stepped forward unexpectedly. The Phoenix is not primarily a weapon. That's what everyone is missing. The Vaxari built it as an exploration vessel, capable of defending itself, yes, but designed to navigate uncharted space more efficiently than anything before or since. The young engineer's eyes reflected the same calm certainty he'd shown since his first neural connection with the ship's systems. We didn't rebuild it to start a war. We rebuilt it because humans see potential where others see only trash. We connect with technology differently, not as masters, not as servants, but as partners. A thoughtful silence followed his words. Elder Therix finally spoke again. What then do humans intend to do with this partnership? Deho exchanged glances with his companions before answering. We intend to explore, to learn, to grow, and yes, to defend ourselves when necessary. But most importantly, we intend to understand the Vaxari's vision, not just their technology, but their approach to the universe. He gestured around the chamber. The Phoenix represents a different path than conquest or submission. It shows what's possible when we build connections instead of barriers, when we see value in what others discard. In the months that followed, everything changed. The Marin Imperium, humbled by their defeat, agreed to formal boundaries with human space. Other council species, initially fearful of the Phoenix, began requesting technological exchanges and cultural dialogues with Earth. More importantly, human engineers, working with the knowledge gained from the Phoenix, began developing new hybrid technologies that emphasized partnership rather than control. Neural interfaces once considered dangerous became refined tools for complex system management. The philosophy of the Vaxari, thought lost forever, found new expression through human innovation. 1 year after the Phoenix's first flight, the reconstructed vessel prepared for its first long-range exploration mission beyond known space. On the bridge, Captain Deho Kim looked at his diverse crew, humans working seamlessly with both alien technology and now representatives from 3 other council species who had requested to join the mission. Navigation systems synchronized, reported Minho from his neural interface chamber. All pilots connected and responsive. Engineering reports all systems optimal, added Subin, now chief engineer. Daiho nodded, taking his command chair. The Phoenix hummed around them, no longer a cobbled-together wreck but a finely tuned synthesis of multiple civilizations' knowledge. Signal Earth Command that we are ready to depart, he ordered. As the Phoenix prepared to venture into unexplored space, Deho reflected on their journey. What had begun as desperate salvage had evolved into something more profound, a reminder that the greatest strength of humanity wasn't force or even intelligence, but the ability to find potential in the discarded, to forge connections where others saw only separation, and to transform junk into possibility. The stars beckoned, and humanity, never content to follow the paths others had laid, was ready to forge its own.